first interview session done with the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Cota.
What's happening, man?
All right. So this is the first one, so I want to fucking interview you. Oh shit, I can't cuss either.
Hey,
But I know, right? But first thing, I want people to know you, and this is going to make you extremely squeamish. So I didn't want to tell you that I was going to do this first. But tell us a little about yourself. This guy is a freaking stud, top lender in United States, not just a county, United States. What
well,
was the rank you got?
appreciate it. Well, top 1% per Scotsman Guide. I don't know where I sit on it this year. There's a lot of great loan officers out there, so we work really hard to try to help as many families as we can. So that's really the number that we focus on is how many families we can help every year, and we try to grow that number annually. So every year we set a new bar on how many families we can help. But myself, let's see here, big sports fan. Love spending time with my family. I get to enjoy watching my little girl get into sports now, which is my new passion outside of my work. Um, Volleyball and
Volleyball,
track is
track.
what she's starting to pick up. I've been doing lending for 23 years now, so seen a few different cycles.
God, man,
Loving
you're
the
old.
current one that we're in. You and I have talked about this a few times. I mean, higher for longer. I mean, rates can stay a little bit higher, a little longer. I think it's a good place to be. I think a lot of people have.
Hold on, I'm not letting you deflect. Hold on, I'm not letting you deflect. This man is a killer, an absolute monster, and I don't think people realize that enough. He works all across the United States. This man is ridiculous. Gets me up bright and early in the morning, every morning. Like, oh, what, Jason? What? So I think one of the things I really wanted to talk about too that we've seen is like stuff to help people that's like is coming up, right? We've seen some of the same stuff, and one of the ones I want to talk about is like we keep seeing that emotional roller coaster, right? Rates are high, we get it, everybody gets it. It's been beaten to ad nauseum, but we still see the same things, and I want to really talk about
Sure.
the whole rate shopping thing, and from your perspective, and then I'll tag
Yeah.
in my no bullshit,
Yeah. Well, I
but
mean, it's
how
you got my other kid in the background barking. But yeah, I mean, obviously,
oh yeah.
people are going to shop. We would like to, in a perfect world, think that people aren't going to want to see what else might be on the other side of the pasture, but they do, and that's fine. We do a really good job of trying to make sure that people understand our value, which I think is important, as not just the client, but also working with you as a realtor and our referral partners, knowing our value out there in an extremely competitive market. We talk to clients a lot about that value. I think a lot of misconception falls on interest rate for people, and we've had this conversation because a lot of people think that, well, I can get hypothetically, let's say 6.875 with bank ABC, but you're offering me 7.125%. Well, this bank might not be able to get you that home, right? And if we can close and not only close in 10 days, have a closing cost guarantee, and save you money by being able to close quickly and not necessarily have to be the highest bid, and save you tens of thousands of dollars in doing that, is that not more beneficial than saving $150 a month maybe for the next 6 to 12 or 18 months before you refinance? So educating clients on that. But then there's also just a lot of people out there that unfortunately, a lot of banks advertise interest rates with hiding points and fees that, unless you do this for a living, that's the gotcha, right? People, I've got clients calling me getting advertising already at 5.5%. you
Mm.
know it's always been there, and it's not going to go away. So
Let me translate. Let me do a hood translation here. So what Jason's trying to say in the most professional terms is that emotionally you're going to be all over the place. And I think that's what I think realtors and we miss this, right? The home buying process is an emotional freaking roller coaster. You get excited, you want to buy a home, it's finally time. And then you go and you get pre-approved, all of a sudden you get punched in the dick. Like, my money only goes this far. And then in your mind, instead of taking gross accountability for, buying that Tesla, spending all this money on all this nonsense, you're like, I can find a solution. And I think what people don't realize is that all these shady lenders know that's the buying process, that you're going to go through that dip right when you get pre-approved and realize how little money you have. And they're trying to pick you up with those ridiculous rates like, oh, 5.5%. Yeah, bullshit. Like, bullshit. And I just want people to realize that they're expecting you. They're like that, you've seen those fishermen that, that catch the salmon, they put a net out and they know these salmon are gonna go to breed, they just put the net out, knowing that they're gonna fall into it. And I think understanding that, like what you said was important, right? Like, it's bullshit. That one's, if cross country, the second largest bank in the United States can't give you that same rate just due to supply and demand, it doesn't logically make sense. But I think we forget that it's not logic. This is emotional, and the emotional that I found this secret. Like I can find a way to make my mortgage cheaper. No, you can't. Like, this is where you're at, man. And there's not that much leverage in banking as people think. Like, if you see a whole 2% rate, 1%, crazy rate fluctuation, you're getting screwed somewhere, man.
Well, yeah,
Hate to
and
say it.
it's funny because I,
Nonsense.
spoke with a client over the weekend, and hold on, let me get my this dog. Um, of course, it starts, yeah, right. This is,
The background music.
but yeah, just so spoke with a client over the weekend. He spoke with, I won't say the name of the bank, but it's a local, community credit union in San Diego, and most local, no, not Navy Fed, but
Navy Fed.
um, so they do what they do, which is don't review anything. And hey, you're a member, so of course you're approved. And unfortunately, put it in his head that he's approved for a certain dollar amount without reviewing anything. And the unfortunate part is now you've set an expectation for a family for something that's a dream of these individuals and these hardworking people that have 3 kids, and now they've got their mind on what they're going to get. Um, and then they end up coming to us to get a second opinion, and they find out because we fully underwrite our loans, well, I can't get that. And I know.
But go into that real quick, because I don't think people realize that, right? The process, that how you go through getting the the underwriter to see it, getting those closing conditions early. I don't think people understand that. Like, when you go to that bank, like you said, they just like, hey, you look pretty. Here's what we think you're pre-approved for. And then you're in escrow. It's like, oh shit, now I need to provide tax returns, get my accountant to sign all that stuff. So kind of going to that process so people understand the difference on how you're basically getting that stuff done, all the punch in the face stuff before we're going out the door, versus banks like, hey,
Yeah.
here you go.
Yeah, a lot of these banks, underwriters are the gatekeepers. Anytime anyone's got somebody telling you that, hey, my loan officer pre-approved me, that's the first problem. A loan officer, loan advisor, loan consultant shouldn't be pre-approving anybody. They're there to advise and consult on the programs that are available to you, but not there to approve. That is what underwriters are for. It's a different role. I'm a very good technical loan officer, so I understand how to structure deals, how to make your goals work with what your qualifications are. I understand guidelines, but again, I'm not an underwriter. There's a reason why those positions exist. So that would be the first thing, is when I hear people say my loan officer reviewed this. Underwriters are the only ones. There's nothing wrong with the loan officer looking at stuff. I can look at it all day long, but again, not an underwriter.
Yeah.
I always joke to say I only play when on TV. But, um, um, but it's tough. Banks, for the most part, can't employ enough underwriters to review every application that would come in the door. That would just be insanity and a large overhead expense. So they reserve the underwriting for files that actually go into contract, and that's the huge problem. That's why there's such a large percentage of loans that have problems when they're in contract. How we operate is, we actually personally employ two underwriters on my team to review those, so we avoid these problems. So we do conditional underwriting approvals, but these banks, they just say yes. You have a good credit score, you have a lot of money parked with them, you've got a job, you're pre-approved. They don't do the fine reviews of verifications of employment, of does the income consistently match with what Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or Ginnie Mae's guidelines require it to. And there's little steps more than just saying how much money is on your pay stub year to date to qualify somebody. So you have a lot of problems that come up. Somebody that says 650 at a local bank, this gentleman truthfully is around 450.
Oh
And
yeah,
it crushes somebody's dreams. Again, it is a very difficult thing to tell somebody when they've told you their story, being we've worked for 20 years to get to this point to be in a position to buy, and they're already out shopping for homes at 650. And that's what I mean. People should do a better job and take a little bit more pride in what they do.
yeah,
These banks don't do that kind of stuff. And also, this, then they're going to take 45
yeah,
days while you're in contract to tell you, oh, we've made a
yeah,
mistake after you've invested $1,000. So there's better ways to go by, but all the while that they offer you this insanely low interest rate, quote unquote, that they're going to charge you points for, you'll find out down the road. So everybody in the industry, within the industry, really knows how these banks work. It's unfortunate the consumer has to find out the hard way at the end of the day when it comes to these local retail
yeah.
depository banks.
Yeah.
It's
And
what
like
you
maybe
see.
and maybe it's different in maybe South Dakota or some of these other places where, takes
Yeah,
90 days. But any competitive market, and I think another thing too that we didn't touch on yet is most homes here, especially in like the $1 million range, which is a median home price in San Diego, want to cross qualify. And banks do not cross qualify.
they
Commercial
don't.
banks will not do it.
Well, they don't.
Wells Fargo never did.
They don't have the
Maybe
documents
Fed.
cross qualified, to be honest with you, because they, again, most of the time don't review
Yeah, that's
anything
true too. So they don't want to lift up their skirt and show, hey, I didn't do my job.
because they don't.
And I think another thing too is really important too, is, and this kind of goes into the real estate side as well, is a lot of these agents, part of their business plan is like, oh, I want to get the Zillow lead. I'm going to show up to the home. They're already looking. So that means this poor consumer is already looking at homes that they don't know they're pre-approved for. And it starts, like you said, leading up to this, like, oh, really high build up to, oh, get crushed. Nah, man, you're worth 400,000. Like, you can't do that. And
Right.
that's demotivating to buy the scariest thing in your world, like the biggest thing in your biggest, most complex transaction of your life. You're getting punched emotionally just because you didn't have someone guide you. And I think that's one of the things that I think is going to change too, is my job isn't is to protect your financial interests, to include from yourself. And if that means letting you go out and look at homes that are outside your price range, I'm not doing my
No.
job. And real estate agents, I feel like, have a hard time being like, hey, no, John Smith, shut up, go talk to Jason, get pre-approved, do the unsexy stuff
Right.
first, and then we'll go look at the homes.
Transparency,
Unsexy first,
education,
and then go.
you know, goal setting, setting proper expectations. Like, don't, when we talk about, and everybody wants to talk about NAR and everything these days, all everything is about is transparency
That's the next one.
and setting expectations
Yep.
and informing people. That's pretty much the basis. Aside from that, hey man, be a good human being and take care of one another. We're supposed to help people get into homes. Expectation is
Yeah.
if we do our jobs for them very well, we are going to earn a commission or get paid. That's any job in the US. We just do our job very
Yeah.
well, right? Better than others. So
Mm,
educate people, inform them, be transparent, set proper
yeah.
expectations based on what they can qualify for and the goals that they have, and try to meet the two, right? But there's so many people that just see paychecks and see dollars that they just think skip all the other stuff and get to the part where I get paid, right? And then you run into problems, and there's, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because you can make a lot of money in this industry, there's a lot of bad habits and bad actors that play in these roles.
Kind of touch
So
on what you said too, is education, but not being afraid to tell them what they don't want to hear. Too often in salesy,
sure.
we're not selling cars or widgets. You're selling the largest investment in someone's life. You need to be able to tell them like,
Mhm.
nah, man, that's not gonna make sense. But too often I hear these, these real estate, talking heads and gurus like, oh, all these like slick sales gimmicks to like get people to want to do something or not know what they're saying. It's like, no, man, don't tell them what they want to hear. Be transparent. And there's going to be some people that want that selling sunset experience. It's just not here because you're going to get screwed over. And I think it's more investing long term versus now. A lot of these agents and lenders and the whole real estate industry is focused on closing and doing it now and wanting now versus you treat your current client right. In 5 years and shorter for lenders, they're coming back to you because they had such a great experience. You do all this slick salesy
Sure.
stuff to get the close now, you're sacrificing the forever business and relationships and all this stuff with that person because you wanted to get paid now. Stupid.
Right. Miss out on the organic growth, which is the great part about it. I mean, the best, I mean, obviously it's great to earn good money because you work hard and we all work hard, right? I mean, you don't get anything out of this business without hard work. It's really
Mm-mm.
one of those jobs where you get out of it what you put into
Yeah.
it. But the bigger fruit of 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 that labor is the growth that you see from having a referral network, right? Like they always talk about like the growth of bamboo, like and how long it takes, like and planting, like that's what you want. Like you're planting seeds, right, every single day, with
Yeah.
whether it's a client that is not ready to buy or someone that you just did an initial buyer consultation with, or someone that's ready to buy right now, but you know, they're going to buy and you're going to close in 30 days. I mean, there's still going to be a client down the road that might have to sell. They've got a coworker, a family, a friend. Um, now they've got neighbors and new neighbors.
Yeah.
If you do your job well, again, and your client faced, you're faced on focused on them, right? It's about them. We're going to be taking
And they'll
our
trust and they'll
jobs
respect
for
you
them,
more for
right?
it.
I mean,
Tell
at the end of the day.
Yeah. Telling them something they don't want to hear that's for their best interest, they might be mad and get frustrated at that moment, but they will respect you more for it because you came and told them like, listen, and I know, with our clients we've had some of these, hard conversations like, yes, you could put more money down, but that doesn't make sense. If we get a buy down, I'll do that, whatever. Trying to People don't understand across the nation, people don't math very well. Math isn't math. So when you have somebody that will break it down for you, you know, honestly ask, and if it doesn't make sense, ask. But don't think that, and I think this is like a overall nation problem, not just San Diego, but you know, buying a home, politics, all that, these are complex issues that require complex solutions. But for some reason, people want this simple solution, like, oh, Rocket Mortgage said they'll give me a 2% interest rate. It's like anytime a complex situation has a simple solution, 9 times out of 10, it's not
Yeah.
the right one, and you're getting played. And I think people need to
Mm-hmm.
internalize that and get deep into it. And you kind of touched on it, but that was one of the ones I had talked about. How do you think this whole NAR settlement and all the chaos is going to affect our
It's
industry,
not going to do anything.
both for the realtors
Uh,
and for the
I mean,
consumers?
real estate's still going to get done. That's the good news. People are still going to buy and sell homes. People are still going to get home loan financing. We're all going to be okay. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to find.
Yeah.
There's always been that's the every conversation I've had with people about this. I've kind of had the same belief, and I've seen in my industry on the lending side massive change. Go on in 2010. Um, you
Dodd
you learn
Frank.
to play
Yeah.
the game with the new rules. It's not a big deal. Life goes on. We're still selling home loans. We're still helping people. You might get to the result in a different manner, but you're still playing the same game. I it's
I think it'll
transparency,
benefit. I think it'll
education.
benefit or
Those
hurt
are like every bit of
consumers.
what change is going to come might have some bit of uncomfortableness, and that's because it's just change. Typically, that's what comes with change for most people.
Mm.
Um, but typically, those sorts of changes are always for the better, whether it be for the consumer, whether it be for the industry, it's for the better. And we adjust, the um,
Yeah.
people that want to be in this industry, want to thrive in this industry, want to help people, they're going to make the right adjustments take a little while to get used to it, but I mean, the machine's not going to stop. Homes are going to be sold. People need to buy, and if mortgages
People
and
got
the
to live
mortgage
somewhere.
world needs to be brought into it to make that change happen, I'm sure that will happen when it needs to happen as well. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces. Nothing is settled yet. I believe, kind of the same thing. Take care of people out there. Help the homeowners. Help each other. We're all here to accomplish something together. Help the sellers sell the homes to the buyers. We're all on the same team when we get in a transaction together, when we're writing offers. Everyone's got a common goal in mind. It's a big world, but a small community that we live in. When we're all working together trying to get offers accepted, we can all play nice with one another. I don't like to see when people are discouraging when we try to go through these things, and you see it. Um, Man, it's fun to do this job, but it sucks when you see the some of the hate that goes on sometimes in this industry and just some of the attitudes that come with it. You and I have talked about that as well. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
hey man, we're all playing the same game. Let's
but
no
that
no
that's
no
that's
need to
that's the
take
thing
off.
that I feel like you're dancing around. I think it's gonna be good because it's gonna get out all those shit bags. The mischaracterization on social
I
media.
was trying to say it in a nice way. I
I
figured
know
you'd come and
you're
clean
too
it.
nice, man. Screw that. No, dirtbags go away, right? And I think the
Yeah.
whole, like kind of like you said, right? The only thing we know for 100% fact is that the NAR is paying damn near $500 million. We don't know what brokerages are getting covered because none of them has signed. I think Century or Compass might have figured out some
Compass
settlement to
I
get
think Compass just came up over
under
the
the
weekend.
umbrella. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
all trying to figure it out, right? So we don't know that. There's some proposed things that the Department of Justice has to sign off on, but nothing is certain. But all the proposed things, like you said, help the consumer. So all these little shitbag realtors crying and beefing about, oh, I just can get listings and all this kind of stuff. Remember, people show you who they truly are and don't discount it. And like we've talked about before, I think this is a wake up call for the entire real estate industry, regardless of what settles out and all this kind of stuff. And I know we're fixated a lot on buyers, but if you remember, this started with listing agents. The
Yeah.
Kansas City lawsuit started because they weren't feeling like they were getting properly educated and they were paying for something they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's kind of jumbled into, buyer's representation agreements and all this kind of stuff, whatever. But at the end of the day, we've talked about this many times. This is why I love working with you so much. It's gross accountability. At the end of the day, the community thinks that they can do our job better than we can. You don't see a plastic surgeon like, ah man, I could put tits on myself better than he can, or I could represent myself in a lawsuit better than the lawyer. But these people think that they can do and facilitate one of the most complex
Well,
transactions of their
that or they
life
don't
better than we
understand
can.
what the realtor's full job description is or the value that they bring. And that's what we talk about. What's your value proposition? What is, transparency to them? That's not a bad thing when you have to educate people. And if that's what needs to be done, then that's a good thing. I mean, those who can't articulate their value to somebody, how can you say that they should deserve to get paid for something that they can't articulate why they should be paid, what they should be paid for? I mean, if you can't tell me what
Exactly.
work you're going to be doing to my car, but you just stick your hand out and I'm telling you my car needs to be fixed, but you can't tell me what you're doing to it, well then I'm going to take it to the shop that's going to tell me what's wrong with my car and what exactly they will do to fix it so I can drive it home. Um, yes, like
Itemized.
well,
Itemized. Like, okay, your muffler's jacked up.
right.
ECM's jacked up. But that's the thing. And on our side too, there's been a lot like, so the lending industry, you guys got really dialed in with the
Hey, that's
Dodd-Frank Act and all
to the
those
closing
changes, right? That
disclosure. That's
disclosures,
all transparency.
very
That is
transparent.
all education. Like I said, that's all this is in a different light. Um,
But it never hasn't hit the real estate industry until
it
now.
had not yeah, like car forms have been updated and things like that, but not fully commission based. Because like our commission, how we
Like
were
this.
paid, had also changed then because it used to be you could get paid based on the individual loan that you sold, the rate that you sold, and now it's a fixed comp plan and rates. You know, it doesn't matter. You get paid the same amount for
Yeah.
every
And
single loan.
yeah, the fiduciary obligation was
Oh, yeah,
very,
which is fair.
who was the lender
Should be
working for?
fair to the consumer. Somebody asked me the other day if I made more money then versus now. And it doesn't matter to me. What's fair is what we should be paid, and that's how we're being paid now.
Yeah, and it's a
Truthfully,
longer term solution, right? Like back then, eventually everybody was making so much money, and then bow.
everybody calls the same thing back then what it was. It was the Wild West. It seems like when you look back on it now, and even then, it's like when they roll out the programs, you're like, really,
Yeah,
like
but
really?
it
I wouldn't
now
even
it's
touch
finally
it.
hitting.
I wouldn't even touch any of those programs because I'm just like,
Stupid.
honestly, like this person is not. You're a custodian, and then they'll tack on there. Someone's like, oh no, they're a custodial engineer, so they can afford that extra $100,000. You're W-2. You will never get that extra $100,000. You'll never afford this
Ever.
mortgage. Please don't put them in that loan.
Dude, I was a personal trainer
People,
back in 2006. I think I was making 50 grand a year, whatever. I just got out of high school, whatever. Pre-approved for $1.8 million, making $60,000 a year. Even my young dumb ass is like, wait a minute, there ain't no way.
change is good.
There's no
Change
way.
is good before things get out of hand. I
Exactly.
mean,
But like you said, I think
you
it's
know,
going to bring transparency, standardization to the real estate industry, but also like
education.
nothing's going to change. Like commissions are never going to change. You have to be, and there's always, I think another thing that we didn't touch on is there's always going to be those fringe, people out there, right? The for sale by owners. I think I could do it like this, and this might empower some more people to do that. But those people are always going to be here, and they're always
It's
going
not
to
going to
be
change the fact that how those homes are sold. It's not going to change the fact that you're not going to market your home better than a realtor will. I mean,
most. That's the other side of it. You're doing like the nice guy thing. I think not only is it education and us educating the community what they do, but also in flip promising, coming through on your promises. I'm going to do this, and then you disappear from your client for 6 months because you're doing other stuff. The real estate industry needs to get off of the selling sunset, transactional based, and go to, like you said, value propositions.
yeah,
I'm instead of me pressing the easy button for Zillow, answering a phone call, opening a door, doing a contract, getting paid. I need to actually do my job in there and not just be a door opener.
yeah.
So I think it's going to be bring a lot of positive changes to the industry.
We
Again,
make
it might
three
just be
commitments on
us.
our team to our clients on every transaction, and we ask for two in return, but only if we meet our three commitments to our client. Do we ask for at that point in time a high level review from them and for our referral partner and for a referral? But only if we have met
Yeah.
our commitment to them first and foremost. And we set that
Yep. Hold yourself to a
set that
standard.
expectation on the first call. Again, expectations, and we hold ourselves to a
Yeah.
very high expectation on our team for our client. You know, but that's kind of what it's about, right? I mean, we work. It's a service based
Hell yeah.
industry. We are here to serve them, and help them be in a home. It's not about
And I
us.
think if they start
So
forcing one of the proposed things of having a buyer's representation agreement is that it's going to force them because a lot of these I think it was like 70 or 80% people work with the first agent they meet, right? So Zillow, whatever, hey John Smith, you're my realtor, whatever. But now that you're going to have to sign a buyer's representation agreement, a BBA, now you have time to shop. Like, okay, this jack o' lantern is going to charge me potentially 2.5% if the seller, whatever house isn't doing a cooperating brokerage agreement. So, what am I paying for? And I think that pause, that mental pause, that battle pause, is going to get people like, what am I getting if I potentially have to pay you 2% versus this person that's going to charge me 2% to
well, I think everybody practices their listing presentation, but I think it's gonna change a little bit to where people are now really thinking about what does my buyer presentation look like. Um,
exactly, exactly.
Again, what's your avatar? What is your value proposition to your clients? You know, what does that look like? What are you
Hmm.
providing value? I mean, what are the things that you're really doing? Educate them on
Oh,
that.
I get your contact and I
So,
put
I
you on
mean,
a drip and you tell me what you want, show you a house, put in a contract.
that's what they think that you do. I mean, in reality, I mean, it seems like that's what the vast majority thinks that realtors do. They make 3% for you to send them an address that they can pull up on Zillow themselves, and they will meet you at that property, and then they just have you sign a contract that they email over to another agent.
That's
I mean,
sadly that's what some of
I
these
mean
people do though.
that's what some people think. I mean, we know that there's a lot more to that. You know, the realtors I work with are very hardworking individuals. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that buyers don't ever see, know, or hear about. But
Perfect
that's
example,
that is all going to
classification.
change or should change because they should know about all the extra work that goes on behind those scenes. You know,
And that's a good last segment. I know you got to get to work, but that's a good one. Understanding what goes on behind the scenes. For example, properly classifying a property of whatever it is, condo, PUD, single family home. Can you
yeah,
go into the three differences, not just for consumers and people that are buying and selling homes, but for real estate agents? Because I really think some of these people, and the caveat before I let you go off on this, is that some of these people are high level, well, supposedly decently successful realtors that didn't know the difference of what the classification was, what the tax records were, and ultimately are screwing over their clients by not properly, I guess, inputting the MLS or even knowing the difference. But
yeah.
please educate us
So you
for
have
all the world to hear.
sure. Well, you have condos, you have PUDs, you have single families. Obviously, everybody knows what a condo is. I mean, you have an association that manages um, the property. You do not own the land. You own the building that sits on the land that is managed and owned by the association. Single family is very straightforward. You own the land, you own the building. It's all you. Then you have a PUD, which is in uh, between a condo and that. I would say to any listing agent that does not know the difference between what their home may or may not be, is you partner with a very um, educated title representative because these things are documented on the tax roll and how the homes are recorded with the county. Um, if homes are recorded with a condo writer, they are a condo. The APN will typically tell you that. Um, that is the main.
I don't care
It
what the
doesn't matter what
HOA
the HOA
thinks.
does not
I don't
have
care if
an
it
opinion of
quacks
that.
like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. And I think people don't realize it doesn't matter if they're
No, it doesn't. There are
detached.
detached
Does
condos.
not
There are
matter.
attached condos. It the
Amen.
the building.
And when the HOA president is like, "No, man, this is we're not a condo." What, man? Respectfully or disrespectfully? What the?
I
Have
was
you seen
waiting
the
for
tax
that to
roll?
come up.
Oh my god! I was like, "Are you? Oh, I can't believe it!" Like, okay, listing agent not knowing, I get it. A lot of agents are
Well, and I will
idiots,
say this.
but
I
you
will say
really
this. You can people can always lean on their lender to look up VA condos as well. But for every realtor out there, it is technically part of you verifying and validating what your property is.
and who the demographic you
You
can
can
sell it to, right? Like,
what I would I think that people should understand this. Like lenders are always happy to do this stuff, or should be, but it is technically not our role to tell you whether or not. Now we can help you go through and getting it approved, but it's technically still part of like the same thing. Like, is this a condo? How are we marketing this property? Doing your due diligence as a realtor. Again, not trying to be difficult, but I mean, if I could share a screen, I would tell you just Google VA approved condos. It will take you to the VA website in which where you just enter the name of the condo association and the state. That is all every lender ever does. It's not a
right.
big secret. There's not a login you need. Um, all you need to, the only tricky thing is what is the actual and true name of the association?
That's where you,
You
and
know,
this last one I promise.
but that's what being resourceful is. I mean, if you want to be a realtor that's resourceful, you don't need your lender. The lenders are happy to do it, but you can literally find it on the VA's website, save the bookmark the link, save yourself the 30 seconds or 5 minutes of waiting to get a hold of your realtor or your lender and hearing back from them because they are busy qualifying your clients to do a Google search and pull up the name of a HOA.
Yeah, and that's another one. Miss inputting the HOA. Like, I think so. We did a talk. I mean, we haven't done a podcast, video, whatever this is called for it, but we did the 5 ways to find a deal in this market, and I think the sixth one is going back to what we said, not just drip like loading your clients a bunch of listings and letting them see what they like, but actually searching yourself on
Yep.
MLS, but also to find the agent mistakes, right? When they misclassify the home, or when we remember that the one in Ventura where she did put the right HOA, which is not VA approved, which scared away every single VA person in a military town. Yet the one next door sold in a week. Hmm. I think those are ways like when you're trying to
Oh
find
yeah.
an agent to buy a home that will do the work to find a deal, because there's a lot of idiots out here that will have the assistant put it in, not double check it, do all that.
They're
And
just
that's where
lazy.
you find an amazing opportunity.
People are just lazy, man. Quick buck. That's a. But again, that's the difference between who you work with, and everybody always says that it matters who you work with, but not everybody is one of the people that should, you know, does the extra stuff to be in that category of who you should really work with.
That is very true. Very, very true. All right, man. I took up 36 minutes of your life. It was amazing. My first interview done with the man, the myth, the legend,
I love it. I love
and
it.
being my
I won't be so reserved next time. I promise you.
yeah, no, we're talking about
I'll
professional.
be something.
Y'all, this man is a wild man. Just for the record, if this video ever comes out, people scroll back later. Remember, this man is a wild man. But as a appreciation for you coming on my first, I brought you a present
Oh,
just for you, man. Just for you. Since I know Jason Cota is such a Raiders fan, through and
oh,
through,
good.
I just wanted the world to know to put
Uh,
Jason Cota's brand next to the Raiders for life.
uh,
I'm gonna get so many hate text messages for this.
I love it. I got a screen. I'm gonna figure out how to screenshot this.
Oh, don't worry, man. It's gonna be a whole video. You'll have this forever. I'm gonna put Jason Cota right here next to like a text.
That's great
Oh, well, all right, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming on here for me,
for
dude. I
sure.
promise the studio's gonna get better and to future ones to come.
Future ones, yeah, man. I look forward to the next one for sure.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man.
All
Anytime.
right, bro.